What's up, everybody? Welcome to another director ranking video where I rank every film by a certain director. I have done other director ranking videos in the past, such as Alexander Payne, Wes Anderson, and David Lynch, along with others. Check those out if you haven't already. But today I will be ranking all 8 of Darren Aronofsky's films. Yes, yeah, Darren Aronofsky, very interesting director to say the least. He has some very bizarre and also some very sad films, but I like him a lot, and I can definitely say that he's probably one of my favorite directors, most likely, and maybe not in the top 10, but close to that. After watching all of his films, I could safely say that yeah, he's a fantastic director, and I thought I'd rank all 8 of his films from my least favorite to favorite. So, all right. So keep in mind, of course, personal opinions. If your favorite Darren Aronofsky film is low on the list, I apologize. If your least favorite is higher, sorry. That's just my list. All right. So let's go ahead and get started, shall we? With number 8, my least favorite. So coming in at number 8, my least favorite Darren Aronofsky film is actually his debut, and that is Pi, released in 2000. No, released in 1998, which was actually the year I was born. Um, yeah, Pi. Now, I will say it's not a terrible movie. It's just kind of boring to me. I didn't love it very much. What I did like a lot about it was I did like the black and white cinematography. That looked amazing. I love the way this movie looks, and the editing is pretty good too. Um, it's just the story I'm not into. It's about math, so that's not a very interesting, you know, that's not an interesting subject to talk about for film for me. So yeah, wasn't into this, but at least it looks cool. So, but it's still my least favorite Darren Aronofsky film, and yeah, that's why it is my number 8, my least favorite. Okay, so coming in at number 7, this one was the last one I watched. It was the movie that made me that it was the movie that made me say, all right, I've seen all of Darren Aronofsky's films now. That is Noah, released in 2017. No, 2014. My mistake. And it stars Russell Crowe, Jennifer Connelly, Emma Watson, Anthony Hopkins, and Logan Learman. Um, yeah, this one um, also is a subject that I don't really care about. This is, of course, based on the famous Bible story of, Noah's Ark, but they made it kind of weird. They made it like almost like an action, like a fantasy action movie, almost kind of. There is a little bit of action in it. So yeah, kind of. And they made it kind of like it reminded me a lot like the Northmen a little bit, and even a little bit like Gladiator. But yeah, I don't know. This movie was okay. I think what I kind of found it a little bit more interesting than Pi. That's why I ranked it just a tad higher. But I still wasn't into this movie. I'm not religious, so you know, although I do think some Bible stories are kind of cool, I just think they're stories, because I don't believe in that stuff. But um, I don't know. It was a little bit boring, but it wasn't as boring as Pi, but it still was a little boring. Like I barely watched it, to be honest. I was on my computer a lot, like most of the time, anyways. But yeah, yeah, Noah, that is my number 7. Okay, so now we're getting to the good stuff. The rest of these movies I do like. So, all right. Coming in at number 6, we have um, The Fountain, and I own all of these. rest, by the way. But yeah, The Fountain, released in 2006, I believe. Yes, 2006, and stars Hugh Jackman and Rachel Weisz, I think is her name. Um, but yeah, really interesting movie. Very interesting movie. It's pretty sad, but it's pretty cool though. It looks really cool. The visuals are really cool looking. Uh, Hugh Jackman is really good in the movie. So is Rachel Weisz, and she looks amazing too. This movie gave me a crush on her. Um, but yeah, it's a pretty cool movie. I don't really know what else to say. Just a cool, kind of weird, but still cool movie. It's definitely not Darren's weirdest movie. In fact, I think the next one is honestly his weirdest movie. Um, but no, The Fountain is a cool movie. Not really much to say. It's not like a amazing film, but it's still cool. So yeah, The Fountain. That is my number six. All right, so here we go. My number five. So this movie. Now this is also a religious movie, but this is far more interesting than Noah. That's why I have it higher. And plus, I didn't really catch the religious stuff because it's all like in metaphors. Might know what I'm talking about. My number five is Mother, released in 2017, starring Jennifer Lawrence, Javier Bardem, Michelle Pfeiffer, and what's his name, Ed Harris. Also Donald Gleason's in it, as well as Kirsten Wig or Kristen. What's her name? Kristen Wig. Yeah, it was really weird that she was in this movie. But yeah, my God, this is I okay. This might be the weirdest movie I have ever seen. Not gonna lie. Like this movie makes David Lynch look like a pussy. Not gonna lie, it honestly does. Like I don't even think Lynch could make a movie like this. This has nothing on Lynch. Like the the first half of the movie, while yeah, it's weird, it's still not as weird as it later gets. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Like, it's kind of normal-ish comparison, to what it becomes later. Like, in the beginning of the film, it kind of seems a little bit like David Lynch, but then as it keeps going, things get so bizarre. Like, I remember I was just sitting there watching, thinking to myself, what the fuck is happening? Like it was just so weird. Um like I don't want to spoil anything, but my god, it took a turn. It took a turn to a direction I was not expecting it to go. Um but yeah, and this is a I guess kind of a horror movie, but more of like artistic horror movie. Um, but yeah, Jennifer Lawrence is really good in the movie. Like honestly, probably her best performance. I'm not like the biggest Jennifer Lawrence fan. Even though I do kind of have a crush on her, but that's beside the point. But she's a hit or miss actress for me, but she definitely hit in this one. She was really good in this film, and Javier Bardem as well. He was very good. And everyone else, I of course I have to say they're good. They're just so bizarre, like just so weird. Um, yeah, this is probably the weirdest movie I have ever seen. I had to get it on Blu-ray because I couldn't find it streaming anywhere, so I had to order it from Amazon. But I can watch it. I can see myself watch it again because it's very interesting. Like I said, there are like some religious themes, but they're in metaphors. And while no, I'm not religious, I still kind of find some of it a little interesting, at least. And yeah, it's a very interesting movie. But yeah, Mother, that is my number five. Yeah. Okay, so coming in coming in number four, we got for some people they might would say that this is their favorite by Darren, maybe. My number four is The Wrestler, released in 2008, starring Mickey Rourke as well as Marisha Tomei and Evan Rachel Wood. Um, yeah, now this one is probably the most normal Darren Aronofsky film, I would say. Like it's more realistic, as well as my number one. My number one is pretty realistic too, but this one seems yeah, this one definitely just seems more realistic. It's just a character study about a wrestler. Um, what's his name? Randy the Ram Robinson, who's played by Mickey Rourke, and he does a fantastic job. Definitely. Um, as well as Marissa Tomei, she's really good too, and Evan Rachel Wood as well. As Randy's daughter. But yeah, it's a it's a it's a sad movie. It is. It's very sad. I do like this movie quite a bit, but I kind of have a feeling maybe if I watch Mother again, I might would like it better than this movie. Um, I gotta say I don't love the ending to be honest. It's I mean I understand the ending, but it just I don't know. I just don't really like the way they do it all that much. Uh, that's one of the things I don't like about this movie. It's not a very rewatchable movie for me. I could watch it maybe once a year, maybe even twice. I don't know, but yeah, it's a good movie. It's a very good movie, and I do understand why people would say that this is their favorite Darren Aronofsky film, but it's just not all the way there for me. But I still enjoy it. I still think it's a very good movie. Yeah, The Wrestler, that is my number four. Okay, so coming in at number three, this and my number two, as well as The Wrestler, are like the ones that people would say are their favorites by them. Uh, and I gotta say, like, I think whenever I started this ranking, this was actually, I think, my favorite. But then I rewatched it for the ranking, and I was like, I like it a lot, but I don't like it as much as I did. If that makes any sense, I don't know. But, anyways, my number three is Black Swan, released in 2010, starring Natalie Portman, Vincent Castle. Hopefully, I'm saying that last name right. And Mila Kunis as well. Um, oh, and Winona Ryder too. I forgot to mention her. But yeah, yeah, it's a very, very weird horror movie, but this one's like on the same level as David Lynch weird, which is not that weird to me anymore because David Lynch is my favorite director of all time. So, it does have like I remember the very first time I watched it, it reminded me a lot like my favorite still currently my favorite movie of all time, Eraserhead. Um but but yeah, this is a really it's a really good horror movie for sure. And and even just like a good drama. Like I kind of think that this is one of the best films that mixes horror and drama very well. Is definitely this movie. Natalie Portman is amazing in this film, without a doubt. Like, it's either this or Leon the Professional, I would say is her best performance. Possibly this one. But yeah, she is fantastic. Mila Kunis is surprisingly really good in this movie as well. I don't really like Mila Kunis that much, but she's really good in this movie. I'm gonna fix the camera here for a second. Okay. Um, and also Winona Ryder, which she's barely in the movie, but it's Winona Ryder. When does she do a bad performance? But yeah, this is a I love this movie. I like it. Well, okay, I like it a lot. It did go down just a little bit for me whenever I rewatched it this time around, just because I think these other two are better. And uh, I don't know. Maybe there's something else too that I just didn't really necessarily like this time around, but I didn't really catch it. But I still think that this is an almost a masterpiece. I would say this movie is almost a masterpiece. Not quite. Like honestly, I think probably the next two are probably masterpieces in my opinion. But yeah, Black Swan is still great, and it is my number three. Yeah. Okay, so now there's two movies left, and you might be shocked that this one isn't my number one, and that my number, and if you know all of his films, you might be shocked to see what my number one is just by showing my number two. But that's just how it is. Even I'm honestly shocked. But this movie, I understand if some people say that this is his best film. My number two is Requiem for a Dream. Yeah, if that's right. I'll show my favorite in a minute. But this movie, I was until I saw my number one, I was convinced that this was going to stay number one because I think this movie is a masterpiece. Yeah, it was released in 2000 and it stars Ellen Bernstein, Jared Leto, Jennifer Connelly, and Marlon Wayans. I just noticed that he worked with Jennifer Connelly twice, which is interesting because most like at least like famous actors that like really famous actors he works with, he only works with them once. That's what I've noticed whenever I was watching these movies. But he's worked with Connolly twice though, which is interesting. But yeah, Requiem for a Dream. It's not an easy watch, but for me, I've seen a lot more harder to watch films than this. Um, it does get really kind of pretty hard to watch at the end of the film. I think that's where it kind of gets me a little bit, particularly for Ellen Bernstein's character, who, by the way, I should mention is fantastic in this film. They're all really good. Even Jared Leto, and I know Jared Leto gets shit on a lot these days. I'm not really entirely sure why, but a lot of people say that he's a bad actor. Watch this movie. If you think he's a bad actor, watch this movie. He is actually really good in this movie. He's not on the same level as Ellen Bernstein, but I would say he is probably the second best in this film. He is really good, and he has good chemistry with Ellen Bernstein as well. He plays her son, and Jennifer Connelly too. She has really good chemistry with Jared Leto, and so does Marlon Wayans as well. But yeah, it's a very hard to watch movie just about addiction, uh, particularly drug addiction, but also kind of just addiction in general, really. But yeah, it's I don't know, but it's a really cool movie though too. Just how it was made, I just love some of the cinematography is really cool. The editing is amazing, and there's just some really cool stuff that they do in this movie in terms of like filmmaking and whatnot. It's really awesome. I like it a lot. I think maybe it might be the story, the reason why my number one I like better, because I do like the story of my number one a lot better. But I will say, in terms of like the better made film, I might would probably have to say Requiem for sure is Darren's best made film. But I do think my number one has the better story, and I'll get to that in a minute. But Requiem for a Dream, even though it's not for everybody, I do recommend for people to watch it at least once. And if you don't want to ever want to watch it again, I completely understand. But I love this movie. I do. Um, like I don't know. I guess I just have a thing for drug movies because I also love Train Spotting, which I like Train Spotting even better. And that is kind of hard to watch at some moments, but not as much because it's more funny than this one. This one's not really funny, but yeah. But Requiem for a Dream, amazing film, and it would be my number one if it wasn't for my number one, but it is my number two. So yeah, Requiem for a Dream is my number two. All right, and my number one. favorite Darren Aronofsky film is, you could probably, as you probably already guessed if you're familiar with all his work, you might be shocked that this is my number one. It is his most recent film that came out just last year. And I'll go ahead and say it's my favorite film of last year, of at least of what I've seen so far. Because I still haven't seen too much from last year, but yeah, it's definitely my number one. And it's my number one Darren Aronofsky film. That is The Whale. Yes, I know. It stars, of course, Brendan Fraser as well as what's her name, Sadie Sink and Hong Chow. Um, yeah. Now this movie, along with Requiem and even The Wrestler, it's on an easy watch, but I don't know. I I loved this story. I really enjoyed this story a lot. And just in case you don't know, it's about a man who is obese and he's basically kind of dying from obesity, and he wants to get in touch with his daughter who he hasn't seen in a very long time, who is played by Sadie Sink. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much the whole movie, and it just takes place in one location too. Um, and I like movies that do that, that take place in one location, like or almost one location, like Reservoir Dogs, Clerks, 12 Angry Men. But this one, yeah, I really like how they did this one with one location. I mean, they pretty much have to anyways because you're following this character that doesn't even go anywhere because he can't. But Brendan Fraser won an Oscar for this movie, and he definitely deserved it. He is absolutely fantastic in this film. Um, and Sadie Sink was also really good in this movie. Even though her character is flawed, and I can see some people maybe comparing her character to maybe Jenny from Forrest Gump, but I don't even hate Jenny from Forrest Gump, so I don't hate her character either because I actually understand her character. Um, but yeah, she's great, and Hong Chow as well. And and also this guy too plays the missionary in the movie. I don't remember the actor's name, but he was very good as well. Um, yeah, this movie is amazingly written. The editing is pretty good too. It's just I recommend it. I think this is a movie everyone should watch, and I honestly do think it's his best movie. Not his best made movie. Again, Requiem, but his best movie, and it's just amazing. Um, Like, I don't think I could see any other movie from last year topping this one. Like, I gave this a 10. For real. I gave this a 10 out of 10. It's that good to me. It is great. Like, I wasn't sure if I was going to like this movie or not. And I bought, much like Mother, I bought this because it wasn't streaming anywhere. That's because it just came out, and yeah, or it came out last year, but still. Um, but yeah, I I am so glad that I loved this movie because it is fantastic, and it is my number one favorite Darren Aronofsky film. Yes. All right, there we go. There is my ranking for Darren Aronofsky's films. So in the comments, please give me your ranking for Darren Aronofsky's films, and if you haven't seen all of his films, just give me the just rank all the ones you have seen, or just give me your favorite and least favorite films. That's fine too. All right, so um, okay, so there might be a another Your Cousins Are Critics episode coming this Saturday. Hopefully, there might be. There's a good chance there could be. Um, so look out for that. And next week there should hopefully. I still have one album left to listen to, but there should be a new band ranking video, and that should be on the Butthole Surfers. So if you're interested, check that out. But yeah, so please like, subscribe, comment, and hit the bell, and I'll see you later. All right, peace.